What do you think about this Kyle Shanahan, Mac Jones affection, whatever you want to call it?
Well, I'm not saying I don't buy it. I think Kyle is very in tune with what he wants. Of course, I got an opportunity close up to see exactly how he operated that way, and his really detailed understanding of his scheme and his offense and the talent and the style of talent that he needed around him, whether it was quarterback or whether it was receiver or tight end or the running backs. I was just always very impressed with that. There was no BSing about that. Obviously, very strong opinions, and he should have strong opinions. The guy grew up with his father looking at that more than most of the offensive coordinators in this league, you know. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, before he probably even became a college student, who knows, right? So I guess what I would say is on the Mac Jones side of it, I guess I'm not convinced yet, meaning not convinced, that's the wrong word. I don't know. I feel like there are a number of opportunities and options for them. I said this the other day to someone that when you make a move like that, you know, that he and John Lynch made, respectfully to them, those are big moves, and they have to, again, they have to be very well thought out. And you have to make sure that you not only have one opportunity, that you have to have your scenarios. We were big on scenarios over the years. I would have myriad scenarios at so many different picks within our whole draft process that I'm sure that they did that. So I don't think personally that it's just one person they are truly looking at. I do believe that one person is there that is extremely important to them and interesting to them. But I think they have to have 2 and 3 or number 1A and 1B very close by, because that's a big, bold move to be making, to hang out there without that option if it does fall through.
Who are you taking at 3?
Are you asking Eric that? I can't even.
No, you. I know who Eric's taking at 3. Eric and I have made sizable investments. We've talked about this a lot. You're up at 3. It's gone Lawrence and Wilson, 1 and 2.
Yeah. You know, I think, and I know what's going to happen. You guys are going to get me to say this, and then all of a sudden people are going to start throwing darts at me and say, this guy's not even a GM anymore. No. He's trying to make picks.
Thomas, if that were the bar, being a GM still, George and I would the comments to this. You don't have to worry. Yeah.
People are going to hate on the order it goes in. Is people rip on me,
yes,
and then Eric, and then by that point they've gotten all of their hate out, and they go, "Wow, thank God they had a guest."
Yeah, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry at all about like stooping to our level or anything. No. Absolutely not.
No, look, I really believe that the next 2 quarterbacks, of course, this isn't going to be a revelation. I think they both have some Mac Jones, of course, and Fields. I think they both have obviously very interesting attributes that seem as though they would be very attractive to, you know, a scheme in an organization like Kyle and John are running out in San Francisco. So, you know, I'm not gonna make the call right now, gents. What I am going to say is, I don't think they can go wrong at that 3rd pick with what I believe is there. My point earlier is literally there are 2 legit or 3 legit picks to make in that spot, and I don't think they can go wrong. Who's gonna thrive in it? Again, it in my mind, it always depends on who's gonna really gel the best with their head coach, because he is so, you know, wildly in tune with it, and I think that quarterback has to be such as well.
Okay. Do you think they know yet?
I think they know who they would prefer. But again, I think they also know that make this very clear, guys. When you're in a draft room, especially as the main guy and guys, the co-team builders, GM and head coach and GM, if you pick someone off that board and you pull that tag off the board that has a wah-wah effect within the draft room, not only does that very easily determined by the ownership group, but it is something that is a real morale booster or deflator within that room. So you better be very aware, and you better be very in tune with how that's delivered. When you by chance don't get your first choice, you better be very comfortable with number 2 or trade like hell.
Right. I remember that being the one in the Michael Hawley's book, the one positive thing about trading Well, obviously Julio being the big positive, but one positive byproduct of it was that all of you got to like essentially go home and after it and have like some sort of like celebration, right? Because you didn't have any more picks the rest of the draft. That I remember that as a good part of that book, yes. Which was not only was everybody sold on the Julio move, but then there was a sense of relief in the sense that your draft, at least for that day, was all but over.
Yeah, look, it's an enervating process. Again, I talk about 14 months leading up. That whole process, the last 2 months, and then really digging down in. I can only imagine, Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith and what they're going through in their first year, and a number of first-time GMs and head coaches. Yep. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to watch how they navigate through all of this. Every year it gets more and more interesting, I think, and at times even more complicated, of course. But I really am interested to see how these first-time tandems are going to pull off their moves and how they're going to build their team.
What I am taking away, by the way, Thomas, from your statements, you said you weren't going to make a pick, but I'm reading the tea leaves here, okay? You said you don't want to make a pick where the whole deflates the whole room.
George really wants the Niners to pick Justin Fields. So everything is sort of like...
I would think they probably wouldn't want to pick a whoopee cushion as their quarterback. So I think Justin Fields is going to be the pick.
What's your definition of a whoopee cushion? I'm sure Eric doesn't agree with that.
So here's my thing. Mac Jones to me is an average quarterback. Maybe can get to Kirk Cousins level. Maybe he can be a 10-12 quarterback in his best year. And I go back to the trade that we were just talking about. You do not make a trade of that much capital up to pick number 3 for anything other than a chance at getting someone that is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And that to me is Justin Fields. And it's Justin Fields for a multitude of reasons, not just the athleticism. He's incredibly accurate. What he would allow Kyle Shanahan to do, I believe, even though his scheme has been built on making quarterbacks that are not very mobile or that are, precision passers look really good, I have faith in Kyle Shanahan creating a scheme that makes Justin Fields look pretty damn good. So to me, I just think that is the choice. And honestly, after Fields, I would take Trey Lance before Mac Jones.
Interesting. Well, look, Trey versus Lance. I mean, look, I think, Fields. The Fields situation, I think, is really, really interesting for that organization. And to your point, he's very talented. And I guess what I'm saying is Kyle has the opportunity and the background and the understanding to be able to make the most out of a guy like Fields, who has a great deal of talent in a lot of different areas. So that's a good pick. Now back to your comments about Mac. I mean, he's done some really special things. I think special. It depends on what your evaluation or your definition of special is. I sense it has something to do with whoopee cushion. But needless to say, I mean, how you play that out. I mean, They moved up for a reason, to your point in the very end, not to spin this around. And I think they have a really good understanding of what they're going to pull off the board at that point. And, it could be the guy that you're hoping for, but it might not.